So, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Is this a film that renews a tired franchise, or is it a film that should have stayed in the museum? Let's talk about it. So welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to my review for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Yes, the fifth Indiana Jones adventure, which has just opened in cinemas, and I'm here to talk about it for you. Okay, so first of all, this film has had a lot of rhetoric thrown around about it over the past few months about how bad it is and all this sort of a thing. I don't buy into that sort of stuff. I don't buy into that rhetoric. I ignore it because I'm of the firm belief that I will watch this film and I will make my own mind up about it. And that's exactly what I have done. So this film here, this film comes us directed by James Mangold, director of Wolverine, Logan, Steven Spielberg, obviously not attached as director. The film stars Harrison Ford, it stars Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Mads Mikkelsen as your primary antagonist, Antonio Banderas pops up, John Rhys-Davies pops up. Yeah. Now this film is set in the 1960s. Man has just landed on the moon, and we're introduced to an old Indiana Jones. But before this, we get a 20-minute segment that is all set in the past, during World War II era, at the end of World War II, all on board a train, very much akin to what we know Indiana Jones to be. And that's when we're given this 1960s setting for the character. An older Indiana Jones, about 80 years old, coming up, he's going to retire, all this sort of stuff, and gets drawn into this adventure with his goddaughter, who's the goddaughter of Toby Jones's character, who was introduced at the beginning of the film in this past segment, where they find half of this dial, Archimedes' dial, which is said to have the properties of basically sending you back in time. Not that it sends you back in time, but it has the ability to point towards these anomalies that open, these fractures in time that can transport you back, these doorways and all this sort of a thing. Obviously the Nazis want it. Mads Mikkelsen, he's been hunting it down for as long as he knows. He's got a group of individuals with him. They're all basically Nazis in sort of 1960s who want to get back and set things right, get that master race to be the master, basically. Yeah. I'm not going to go any more in depth about the story, but I will touch upon spoilers in this review. So if that's not for you, jump out, because I'm going to talk about the film in general. Okay, so I sat down and watched this film. The film clocks in at 2.5 hours nigh on, when you include the words at the end. It's a long film. I don't know what to say. It's not a bad film. It's not a badly crafted film. It's not a badly directed. James Mangold does a good job of directing. However, you do notice that a bit of the ingredient is missing in that Spielberg isn't there. It's not as fun. It's not as fun as the other Indiana Jones adventures. Now, my strong belief for this character is this character belongs in the 1930s. We should never have seen him age. We should never seen him step outside of that. The opening sequence for the film is fantastic, right? The CGI aside, the Harrison Ford face, making him de-aging him, some of it looks great, some of it looks dreadful. It flits between the two, depending on what the scene requires, action-wise and things like that. So, but the bad parts of it are enough to take you out of the film. The whole sequence is good. That 20-minute opening sequence, it's akin to Indiana Jones. It's good. It's good in that sense, narratively speaking. But then we come to the 1960s, and this is where the problems in the film start, because this isn't our Indiana Jones. This is an old guy who basically needs help with everything, and this is where Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character comes into it. One of the single most unlikable characters I have ever seen in an Indiana Jones movie. She made me cringe from beginning to end. She's an awful character, and I can't believe that the thought process is that this is a potential spin-off character to take this series in another direction. What was her name in it? Ilana or something? So Ilana Jones, Indiana Jones, Eliana Jones. Her name ain't Jones, but do you know what I'm saying? She even comes equipped with her own little short round. Yes, she's got a child with her, a youngster who, believe it or not, she met up with because he was trying to steal something off of her. That's Short Round. That's his backstory, and then he never went away. And Short Round, you know, a kid driving a car. Wow, this kid can pilot a plane because he's had some makeshift dials drawn up in pen and paper at the beginning of the film, and he can pilot a plane. Wow, amazing. Anyway, that's enough of that. So the film itself, you know, it's got some good ingredient in it to be good, but it just never is. It never is. It's the sense of fun and wonder is taken out of the series by the fact that you're watching this old decrepit Indiana Jones. Now, like I said earlier in the review, Indiana Jones is a character that should have remained in the 1930s. He should have remained in that kind of era setting. You know, the way this character was conceived was like a sort of a nod to the old serials of that era, and this is where this character is at his strength. We saw problems in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. In comparison, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is actually quite fun compared to this movie here. Now, we have all this stuff with this dial, and they've got half the dial. They need to find the other half of the dial, which is a cinematic trope for adventure films. They need the two halves to put it together to be able to get it to work. They do get it to work, and yes, we get a sequence. My jaw hit the ground, not in a good way, in that we get a sequence at the end of the film. The whole last act of the film is set in the past. I'm talking 2,000 years BC, I believe it was, the days of Archimedes. They go back and they meet Archimedes, while the Romans, I believe, or whoever it is, the Romans are battling, are attacking, all this sort of thing. So you've got this World War II bomber, or akin to a World War II bomber, flying over this battle. It sounds like it should look good on paper. I bet this sounded like, well, this will look. It doesn't look good. It looks horrible. It looks awful. Now, I know that we have to suspend disbelief in all of the Indiana Jones movies. I know that. You get the spirits and the ghosts out of the Ark of the Covenant at the end of the first one. You get people's hearts being ripped out and staying alive in the second one because of voodoo. And in the third one, you get the old man Knight who's lived centuries. And then you get these alien things in the fourth one. I get that. But this just goes a step too far. And then Indiana Jones himself, wanting to stay in the past and die there in the past. Wow. I was shocked by the whole end sequence. I didn't think it worked. I didn't think it needed to do what it done there. Mads Mikkelsen, fantastic actor. I love Mads Mikkelsen. You know, he's really good. However, in this film, he's as flat as anything. I didn't get any sense of dread from him. That he's just there. He's there acting in this role, and I don't know. It's just not very good in that sense. Not a memorable villain. Who else is there? Antonio Banderas and John Rhys Davis. They're just there as glorified cameos more than anything else. Antonio Banderas' role amounted to nothing really. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she's just cringy the entire way through this film, you know. But like I said, it's not a badly crafted movie, right? It makes some narrative missteps. However, it's just a film that's not needed, a film that's cynically made in that it's just a cash grab for this character. We don't need to see Indiana Jones being this old man, this doddery old man who for the most part needs help in everything he does by a stronger female character, because that's what she's set up to be. Yeah, it's not a great film at all. I'm quite shocked by it, I'll be honest. Now, I'm actually seeing this film again later today. I'm going with Matt from Matt V's Movies and Chris Cypher Sigma, and we're going to see it in IMAX up at London Waterloo. So I've got to sit through it again. Maybe on a second viewing I'll get more out of it. We'll see when I know what I'm getting myself in for. I just felt wholly an unneeded entry into this franchise, and not a fantastic farewell to the character at all. Now, I do have thoughts on how personally I would have ended this film, how I would have changed up the narrative and done something different at the end, and but I'm playing on that in my mind. But if that's something that interests you, in me doing a video on how I would have ended this film and in my mind made it somewhat better, then let me know if you'd like me to do a video discussing that one, because I've done it with Terminator 2 and things like that, and I think I've done it, you know, I spoke about it with Halloween Ends and things like that, and this one I've got an idea in my mind for how I would have bettered the ending of this film, certainly. But there we go. Anyway, thoughts down below. I'm disappointing movie. Disappointing. Certainly not in top 10 of the year. That's definite. This is AJ. See you later.